Sal Baldenegro.
Mr. Baldenegro, can you spell your complete first name for me?
S-A-L-O-M-O-N.
S-A-L-O-M-O-N.
D-A-D-E-N-E-G-R-O.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Now, Mr. Baldenegro, you're married to Cecilia Cruz, is that correct? Have you lived in Tucson your whole life?
Since 1950.
Okay. Would
Just
you,
basically my whole life.
would you give the judge and counsel a sort of short capsule of your educational background?
I have a BA from the U of A and a master's from the U of A.
And have you, well, also give them a short explanation of some of your employment background and what you focused on in your life.
Well, I worked as a community organizer for the civil rights movement for several years. Then I was a director of student services at Prima College. And I was a director of a nonprofit organization, Youth Development Incorporated, 15 years. And then I was an assistant dean at the University of Arizona. I taught at the University of Arizona. I was a senior research analyst at the University of Arizona. And I mean, there's some other smaller jobs, consultanship,
Yeah.
but that's.
What was your topic area for your teaching?
I taught political history and Mexican-American history.
I'm sorry, sir, the last one was?
Mexican-American history
Okay.
and political history.
Let me ask you a few questions on different topics. First, in terms of your knowledge and experience of the El Rio golf course. Could you explain to the judge what that history's been?
What I know about El Rio Golf Course?
Yeah.
Well, I was raised in Better Hollywood, which is right next to the golf course. The golf course sits between two barrios, Barrio Hollywood and Barrio El Rio. And I was raised in Barrio Hollywood, so I grew up caddying in El Rio. All the young people from my generation, almost virtually every young man from either one of the barrios were caddies at El Rio. So we all grew up there caddying, and so I've been involved with El Rio golf course since I was about 14 years old.
In terms of that golf course, is it important historically to Tucson?
Oh, very much so. I guess the best was, El Rio has like 3 layers of history. One is
And keep in mind, Sal, the court reporter, if you could speak slow enough to make
Pardon me?
sure, you can speak slow enough to make sure the court reporter can write down.
sorry. Well, I'm not a golfer. I'm one of the few caddies. When I was caddying, when we were growing up, on Mondays, they close the course for maintenance purposes, and they let the caddies golf. As a result of which, tons of kids from Barrio Hollywood, Barrio El Rio, became golfers. I'm one of the very few who didn't. I went there on Mondays, but I never became a golfer. But the golfers, it's got a great and rich history. It was the first, El Rio was the first grass golf course in Arizona. I think it was the 3rd in the country. And the Tucson Open, which is a big prestigious PGA tournament, was played at El Rio from 1945 to 1962. And golfers, I mean, these big names in golf, like Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Sam Snead, all played El Rio. So the golfers got that rich history. And also celebrities, people like Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Dean Martin, played there also. So, but it also has something that's not known about El Rio, has a very rich civil rights history. El Rio Country Club, because back in the day it was a country club, private country club. It was not municipal. It was one of the very few golf courses in this country that allowed Jews to join and play, and allowed non-white people to play at El Rio. For example, Joe Louis, the heavyweight champion, played golf there. Anthony Quinn, the Mexican-American actor, played. The Marx Brothers played there. As a matter of fact, I forget what year it was, but because El Rio allowed Jews to play at El Rio, join El Rio, some people objected to that and quit El Rio and formed Tucson National Country Club, specifically so they could exclude Jews. So it's got that rich civil rights part to it. And then it was also it's got an economic history. As I mentioned when I was growing up, almost every young man from those two barrios caddied there. It was a source of income for us. And for some of us, it was how we made our spending money. For others, it was we caddied to help support our families. And some of the older guys, that was how they lived. That's how they made a living. They caddied there. So it's got an economic history. And then it's got a whole nother history of civil rights in 1970, when we fought the city on basically the same issues that are involved here. We fought the city on it was a long struggle that involved confrontations, demonstrations, picketings, marches, and arrests. I personally got arrested several times. Establishing the principle that neighborhoods, that people, the public, that we keep talking about, the public are real people who should have a voice in what happens to their neighborhood. And we won. We won a big fight. The issue there at that time was that the city council, the mayor and city council, had made a commitment to us in 1967. They made a commitment that they would build a park and a community center. And then they reneged in the past. And then we asked them for information, and they refused to give it to us. And I think at that time, ARS 39121 did not exist. So the way we got information then was we had people who worked for the city who would actually give us under the table, if you will, gave us information. But those were two issues that we were dealing with, that the city had broken their promise to work to us and were keeping information from us. So El Rio has a huge, as a result of that, it has a huge symbolic value for all these reasons. It's somebody made an analogy that El Rio to the west side, to the Mexican-American community, El Rio has the same symbolic value that the Rosa Parks bus has, because it symbolizes this huge civil rights struggle that happened in Tucson. And from a Mexican-American political history perspective, you can almost talk about Mexican-American West Side politics as pre-El Rio and post-El Rio. So El Rio is very, very, very important. Very, very historically important.
During that struggle, was that a time when the political group called La Raza Unida was organized that assisted in the struggle?
La Raza Unida, yes, that was one of the groups that was organized, yes.
And was that some of the first political involvement of not only yourself, but like Raul Grijalva, who's now our congressman?
Well, that wasn't the first political involvement. That was part of it. We were involved about 7 years before that. I became involved politically when I was in high school.
You know, you talked about as a result of the the neighborhood's actions. And would I be correct that the pickets and involvement was heavily involving the neighbors in Barrio Hollywood and El Rio?
Oh, yes. There were, at our marches, we had about maybe 500 people marching. And of those 500, I'd say 400 were from the neighborhoods.
And as a result, was the negotiation, did the city build the El Rio Neighborhood Center that's there now on the corner of
The result of that struggle, yes, was that we finally got the neighborhood, El Rio Neighborhood Center built and Joaquin Murrieta Park built.
And as a result of that, did the city then build other neighborhood cities?
Well, yes.
Neighborhood centers such as,
El Rio was, I mentioned how important El Rio is symbolic.
and do you know whether that particular El Rio golf course is a center of use by Mexican-American golfing associations and golfers?
Well, very much so. The golfing demographics have changed dramatically over the last 50 years. Somebody made what I think is a very stupid statement at a city council meeting on May 21st. And that person said that El Rio should be closed. She was supporting this GCU proposal because she said that El Rio should be closed because golf is a rich man's game. And that really upset me because at El Rio that's not true. That's simply not true. I mentioned how many of us grew up there, became caddies, and played golf, and became golfers. And I was at El Rio golf course just 3 weeks ago for a fundraiser for a friend of mine whose son died of cancer. And I went, and here's an example of the people who were golfing that day, just that one day. There was a retired school janitor, there was 2 retired miners, a school teacher, an accountant. There was a retired truck driver and a landscaper. And then there were 3 union members, steelworkers from England, and a couple of others. The point is that that's the kind of person who uses El Rio Golf Course. Now, the Mexican-American Golf Association is based there. The Latin American Golf Association is based there. The El Rio Men's Association is based there. And one of the biggest things that we fought during the 1970s, when we fought that fight that I mentioned earlier, we were fierce in our determination that the city, in all its aspects, should serve the public. And that's what El Rio is doing now. El Rio is doing that now through the First Tee program. As a matter of fact, I just found out from the city officials, as a matter of fact, that the First Tee program, which is a youth program that gets kids and not only teaches them golf, it's like Little League and Boy Scouts and those kind of things. But they teach them golf, but they also teach them values like integrity, honesty, those kind of things. And they're serving like 1,400 kids this summer, which is more than Kitco serves. Kitco is a very prominent program in Tucson. And I said to somebody the other day that it seems to me that El Rio is being punished. You know that saying about no good deed goes unpunished? Well, El Rio gave up its driving range. So First Tee could serve the kids from the community. Now, the fact that it does not generate revenues from the driving range is being used as a rationale to close and sell off El Rio, which I think is totally wrong. It's like no good deed goes unpunished business, and that's wrong.
Okay, since the El Rio along Speedway, there is big tall fences and there is a driving range, correct?
No, there isn't.
What do they call that?
That's used for First Tee. It's a practice, I think it's 3 holes that the kids practice on. That used to be the driving range.
Right, okay, so what used to be the driving range, they reconfigured.
For First Tee.
Yeah, and then it's like it's like a little three-hole golf course
Exactly,
where you can still practice driving or you can practice chipping or whatever.
right, but it doesn't generate the revenue, right.
And this was built by the conquistadors.
I think it was a combination of conquistador money and some bond money, I think, and some, maybe some city money.
And they built a building there, and that's where they operate this program for youth,
Right,
the first T program.
right. And I heard that, I read somewhere that the conquistadors have invested like 2.9 million, or 1.9 million, sorry.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Mr. McLaughlin?
No questions, Your Honor.